Hi, this is Parik Sam. Welcome to this live webinar. I hope you can hear me. We had a bit of problem with our sounds last week, and that did cause us some issues. And hopefully we don't have too many connectivity issues this week either for you. So welcome to this live webinar. What we're looking at this week is Cyprus residency changes for expats post-Brexit. So we're looking specifically at what Brexit means in terms of EU residency for expats that want to live and work in Cyprus. So for 22 and for 23. So let's have a look at that as best we can. So post-Brexit, there was a new EU set of rules regarding residency and immigration for expats living and working abroad in the EU. This legislation was introduced from 2019, and it's connected with changes and updates to the Schengen Zone resolution. Now, as we said before, the Schengen Zone is most of the EU countries, but not all of them, and some of the EEA countries as well, including such places as all those countries are involved in this, and changes are coming up. And this week's EU summit meeting will further reinforce that. And there's been a confirmation, or will be confirmation this week, that Croatia will join the Schengen Zone as part of the next step. That leaves 3 other EU countries, Romania, Bulgaria and Cyprus, that have applied to join the Schengen Zone but are not in it yet. But these countries, along with the other EU countries, will step forward with their preparation and organisation, in part to meet the Schengen Zone requirements to get entry into that close cooperative border to protect and secure borders for cross-border migration. EU freedom of movement to live and work anywhere in the UK, in the EU, is one thing, but they do want to do that with security for individuals and security for tax and welfare of local workers as well. The time scale for the EU Schengen Zone rollout of electronic travel authorities has now been put back to November 23, but during 23, electronic travel authorities will be required throughout the EU, in addition to any visa-free travel and a residency permit. A residency permit is still required. You can't be a tax resident in a jurisdiction unless you've got a residency permit, and those residency permits are generally available, and that's what we're discussing here today. So the EU are bringing in a number of changes around the EU, and each country can have a slightly different play on those. And Cyprus, from January 23, have got a new set of requirements for people that are living and working abroad. If you're an EU expat looking to relocate to Cyprus, well, the rules pretty much don't change very much, and we'll come back to that later. What the rules do affect is especially non-EU residents. And so somebody that's coming from Africa, America, Asia, the Middle East will have a whole different set of criteria to meet, which can be a lot more onerous. And this provides border security for the EU and for Cyprus in particular. And these requirements are ramped up quite a lot. The changes to the rules in Cyprus are, in general, to meet the EU rules, but also reflect previous manifestations of the Cyprus residency process evolved and adapted into the future, but impact different people in different way. The first thing to acknowledge is that UK expats are not EU citizens anymore, but they can get slightly different treatment to other non-EU residents. So there is some flexibility there, but not much. So let's go into that in a bit more detail. What I want to look at here is actually the specific requirements for Cyprus residency from January 2023. And in essence, anybody that's non-EU will be changed and have to apply for a visitor's visa. So the visitor's visa will be for a maximum of 1 year. So it's a reversion to the old pink slip system. It's reversion to the old pink slip system. I've just been told my producer that there might be a sound or a visual issue, so apologies for that. If the quality of the live recording is not up to scratch, we will re-record it later. He will confirm that. And so let's confirm the details of what's required for that visitor's visa. So this is not for EU expats. This is for other people that want to remain beyond the 90 days in Cyprus, but are coming from outside the EU. Now, technically, this includes UK expats as well. So to get that, it's an annual visa, which could become renewable. Now, if you renew that for 5 years, then you've got the potential to get a permanent residency under Cyprus and international law. But that would mean to be renewed for 5 years. You need your passport and your arrival certificate, so your landing card from your travel ticket is part of what we need to see. But a visitor visa for 1 year in Cyprus needs a clean criminal record from your home country. And when we talk about the records that we need for Cyprus, they need to be in Greek or in English. So you need a criminal record from your home country to show that you've got no criminal record. And then when you get to Cyprus, you need a full medical blood test from a Cyprus doctor and a bank guarantee. Now, this is where UK expats differ slightly at the moment. So generally, an expat coming on a visitor to Cyprus has to deposit 850 euros into a Cyprus bank on a long-term deposit up to 10 years, and as a guarantee that they will honour the terms of their visa contract. That is renewable each year, and it's maintained. Now, at the moment, the bank guarantee required for UK expats is shown as 0, but a bureaucratic decision could change that back to 850. Since Brexit, they've introduced that as a requirement for UK expats, and then they've removed it, and now it's been reintroduced, but it's been declared at the moment as 0. Everyone on a 1-year visitor's residency permit needs medical cover for that year. That can be organised locally, or it can be an international travel plan that gives full cover in Cyprus. They need to have a permanent resident in Cyprus. So if you want to be in Cyprus for a year, which would enable you to be a tax resident in Cyprus, you need to have a permanent resident, either ownership of property or a long-term tenancy for that period. And then a very detailed issue that's come up now, where Cyprus are looking to raise the bar as far as expats are concerned, that you have sufficient income. So they're looking for you to have a stable outside source of income from outside Cyprus. That could be salary, it could be pensions, it could be rental income, but it's got to come from outside Cyprus. They're not really looking for a visitor to have a 1-year visitor visa from income that's arising in Cyprus. So they're looking for income to come from abroad. And that stable income that you're declaring at your residence, you would then need to back that up with your historic 12 months of statements. Once you get into Cyprus, they're looking for you to have a regular income and not just moving funds of 2,000 a month for a family. Well, no, that's for an individual. If you've got a spouse, they'd look for you to have an extra 20%. And if you've got a child, they'd look for an extra 15% for each child. So if you're thinking in terms of one child being 600 and a spouse being another 400, a family with one child needs 3,000 in income to go into the Cyprus bank account as income from an earned or investment source or pension source each month over the year. The annual visa is renewable, but at the moment they're saying that that's going to be checked and renewed each year. But you would need to verify that you've had the income coming in during that period. In addition, you could be required to have at the outset with your first visa a £10,000 deposit in the bank to cover your initial period of stay, and to have at least 6,000 in the bank when you do any renewal, which is effectively 3 months' income. So looking for everybody to have a bit of savings and capital, as well as provable income from a source outside Cyprus to get an annual visitor's visa to stay in Cyprus for a year that then has to be verified each year. So the rules have changed quite a lot for expats. That's not the only way to get registered for living and working abroad in Cyprus. There are schemes and different schemes where you could be sponsored as an employee or to create a company, but that now comes under a whole different raft of regulations. For a simple individual investor coming in on an annual visitor's visa, the rules are quite tight and they need to be verified each year with a sustainable income, which is quite a bit higher. So for an EU expat, they're looking for around 1,200 a year, and that's almost doubled for a non-EU expat, and that income has to be provable from a source outside Cyprus. If you're a nomad that's got a regular income flow coming from another jurisdiction, then that would work, but you still have to have your permanent residence in Cyprus to affect that tax residency and enjoy, for example, the 60 days in country residence at any one time. So in summary, Cyprus tax residency changes. The rules change from January 23 in that non-EU residents can apply for a 1 year pink slip, a 1 year residency visa, which is renewable, but they have to prove income from outside Cyprus over the previous year, as well as the income that you need going forward. For more information and guidance, contact us at partnership.com. I hope you find that useful. We've got experts in Cyprus. If you want to come on the 1 year residency visa, or if you want to think about one of the other ways of coming as an employee or to create a business in Cyprus. For more information and guidance, contact us at partnership.com. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Next week's, we're going to look at the impact on the broader EU of these changes, with the ratcheting up of the Schengen zone, the travel visas coming in the next year. So join us then. Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next time.